Boxing analysts had their own sharp reactions when Terence Crawford finally exploded on Canelo Alvarez during their series of heated confrontations, breaking down the situation like seasoned detectives, piecing together a psychological warfare masterpiece. The sports world called the whole encounter series electrifying. But nothing was more shocking than Crawford's sustained verbal assault campaign, charging at Canelo's reputation instead of accepting the Mexican superstar's dismissive attitude throughout multiple promotional appearances.
So when I beat you, is you gonna be a nobody? When I stuff a mud hole in your ass, is you gonna be a nobody? You're gonna be just like everybody else. Watch.
The Las Vegas confrontation began when Crawford, visibly frustrated by months of stalled negotiations, decided to take matters into his own hands with explosive directness. Boxing insiders summed it up perfectly during aftermath analysis. Focus on the wrong opponent and you'll get exposed. And that's exactly what many believed would happen if these welterweight titans actually stepped into the ring together. Crawford's verbal meltdown proved his desperation. While Canelo maintained composure like a seasoned champion, the Omaha native acted like a man with nothing to lose, completely willing to burn bridges for his opportunity. Crawford's declaration that he would stomp a mud hole in Canelo wasn't just trash talk. It was calculated psychological warfare designed to penetrate the skin of boxing's biggest commercial star. The Nebraska fighter had been training like a man possessed, studying tape obsessively, while Canelo's camp seemed comfortable in their position as the sport's premier attraction. Perhaps overconfident and completely unprepared for the verbal assault Crawford was about to unleash.
Seeing the last press conference, when I walked you down, when you were supposed to be the bigger man.
Reality became crystal clear during the second phase of their Las Vegas confrontation. Crawford had outmaneuvered Canelo completely in psychological warfare. Top promoters admitted no one knew exactly what version of Crawford would show up for such high-stakes verbal battle. But he made one thing abundantly clear: Crawford possessed special mental warfare capabilities. That explosion wasn't random aggression. It was calculated intimidation designed to plant seeds of doubt, proving he was already ready for the biggest stage in boxing.
Yeah, hey, you say that because you're fighting with nobody. And you obviously look like you're a great fighter. But you're gonna find out September 13th, this is gonna be different for you.
Eddie Hearn and prominent promoters had measured reactions when the New York press conference descended into heated territory, breaking down promotional dynamics with experienced deal-maker precision. The boxing establishment called the situation a masterclass in building anticipation. But nothing generated more buzz than the sustained tension where both fighters charged the atmosphere with barely contained aggression instead of going through typical promotional theater motions. The extended press conference segment revealed complexity that wasn't apparent in shorter clips. Crawford's sustained verbal pressure represented a calculated campaign to destabilize Canelo's psychological preparation while building his own reputation as a fighter who refused intimidation by bigger names or established commercial brands. When Crawford reflected on his approach during detailed questioning, he revealed systematic planning.
First and foremost, somebody was in the room saying that I was scared of them. So I stepped to him and showed him who was the boss of this fight. I ain't scared of shit.
The face-off segment represented culmination of mounting tension throughout the entire press conference experience. Industry veterans said it straight after witnessing the final confrontation. This was always going to be the moment determining whether these fighters possessed genuine animosity or were simply going through promotional motions, and Crawford was absolutely right to maintain maximum intensity, transforming what could have been routine stare-down into genuinely threatening encounter that would be analyzed for months. Respected boxing journalists had stunned reactions when Crawford absolutely exploded following what many considered a shocking and deeply personal insult from Canelo, breaking down unprecedented escalation with careful analysis of reporters covering decades of boxing controversies. The media establishment called Crawford's eruption justified, piecing together the sequence leading to his nuclear response like investigative journalists uncovering scandal. combat sports experts summed up the explosive response with surgical precision. Deliver the wrong insult to the wrong fighter, and you'll face immediate consequences. And that's exactly what happened when Canelo's words triggered something primal in Crawford's competitive DNA. The explosion proved it. While Canelo might have intended psychological warfare, Crawford responded like a man whose core identity had been attacked, completely abandoning diplomatic restraint.
Say, oh, I'm not gonna let somebody to tell me what I need to do. And he did. So, but you know me. I respect everybody, but if you fuck with me, so it's gonna be different.
Terence, is that true? Did Turkey Allah shake on?
The most experienced boxing observers set it straight after reviewing complete footage. This was always going to be the moment separating genuine competitors from promotional performers. And Crawford was absolutely right to defend his reputation with maximum force, turning what Canelo intended as psychological advantage into nightmare demonstration of why certain fighters should never be underestimated or personally attacked. The explosion wasn't just emotionally satisfying, it was reputation-enhancing in ways extending far beyond a single confrontational moment. Distinguished boxing analysts had comprehensive reactions when complete press conference footage revealed the full scope of psychological warfare between elite fighters, breaking down extended confrontation with methodical military strategist approach. The boxing intelligentsia called the encounter a masterpiece of competitive psychology, piecing together subtle and overt tactics employed by both fighters, like chess grandmasters studying historic matches. Top promotional executives admitted they had rarely witnessed this sustained psychological intensity between elite fighters throughout extended press conference formats. But both Crawford and Canelo made one thing absolutely clear during crucial final segments. They possessed mental fortitude and competitive intelligence necessary to maintain maximum psychological pressure while managing complex promotional obligations and media responsibilities. Dave Coldwell said it straight after reviewing all footage from multiple encounters. This was always going to be the promotional war that ended badly for whoever showed weakness first. And he was right, because Crawford turned it into a psychological nightmare that would haunt anyone who underestimated his mental warfare capabilities. The sustained campaign wasn't just brutal, it was career-defining for both fighters in ways extending beyond single promotional appearances.
Same shit that everybody else been saying since I moved to 147, I ain't fought nobody. Every last one of them. Stump a mud hole in their ass and he gonna be next.
Boxing insiders admitted they worried about how far the animosity might escalate, but truth became undeniable as confrontations continued building intensity. Crawford had brought this level of competitive fire deliberately, walking into every encounter looking like a man who had been waiting for perfect opportunities to demonstrate why he remained one of the sport's most dangerous and psychologically resilient fighters. What did the boxing establishment conclude after witnessing complete footage? They recognized authentic championship-level psychological warfare being conducted between fighters who clearly viewed each other as the most significant competitive challenges of their respective careers. Understanding genuine super fights require not just elite physical skills, but psychological strategies beginning during earliest promotional appearances. Crawford didn't exaggerate when he promised to expose Canelo's vulnerabilities. This represented the most psychologically sophisticated promotional campaign modern boxing had witnessed, and Crawford delivered sustained mental warfare with strategic authenticity, convincing even skeptical industry observers that their potential fight would carry genuine competitive stakes, extending far beyond commercial considerations. The comprehensive analysis revealed Crawford had fundamentally altered dynamics of their potential encounter, transforming what might have been routine super fight into authentic personal warfare between fighters who clearly viewed each other as existential threats to their respective legacies and reputations within the sport's historical hierarchy. Crawford's systematic psychological campaign had established new standards for promotional intensity, while proving that championship fights begin long before fighters enter rings, with mental advantages being established through every public interaction between elite competitors who understand psychological warfare as fundamental components of comprehensive competitive strategy.